Hello, it is me, Jen, and it is February 1st. Can you believe January just like what happened? Did it even? I don't know. And it was, I don't know about you guys. Maybe your January started out amazing and you're just keeping forward with that momentum, and maybe it didn't, and maybe it had some surprises already this year. Here in Florida, it's 30 degrees, which is a surprise to me. And I wanted to make sure that I kept rolling with the videos about setting yourself up and really living life in a way that is genuine to you. Um, I, like I've said before, have been a goal setter for a very long time. And in my journal today, I wrote down a little note um, that I started this year talking about joy and ease, just in my journal. I don't know that I put that out there in the ether, but I did write it in my journal. And those were kind of my words for the year, which is different for me. And I've created challenges for myself for a while now. Like I'll do that. I haven't, like last year I did it for a group of people and shared that journey with them, which was really fun. But this year is a little bit different for me because my approach to goals has been very determined, like that kind of fierce energy. And my approach was more like effort, work, struggle centered. And I think the payoff for that is that you feel like you really did something. So that's like what you're subconsciously telling yourself when you say, "Oh my gosh, that was so hard. That was so hard. I can't believe I did that. I'm so proud of myself." Which that is true. That's true. Like you should be proud of yourself when you're putting forth effort and energy, and your determination and all of that is a great thing. Again, the yin yang. I love to find the balance. But I have to admit that in years past, I have been out of balance, and I have felt the effects of it. And so I'm changing my approach, and that's why it's so funny, because I do think about these words very deliberately. I was thinking about my words for the year, and just that it's February 1st, and you know, anyway. Normally I've done this in last September, and I did. People asked me, and it was like joy and ease, and I knew that those were the words that I needed. And I have to say that that's been the direction my ship's been going for a couple of years, and I knew I hadn't quite seen the port yet. I've been out there rolling in the waves for a little while with regard to joy and ease. Kind of finding that balance. And that's, what this whole channel is about, is helping you to listen to you and find a way, find the sort of life you want to be living, which changes in seasons. This is why we can't have that approach of like, this is the pinnacle and I have arrived. If you've ever, like we've all heard the things about the lottery winners that, like you have this thought in your mind, oh, once I win all this money, then my problems will all be solved, and then they end up going broke. Or same with some NFL or NBA players, or Olympians who work their whole life to get to this achievement and then like spiral because now what? Your whole identity's been wrapped up. And I had a season like that in my own life where a lot of things that were very difficult in the, like we'll say in my teens and early 20s, I had this time in my 40s that was like a culmination, like a redemption story for that. And it really felt like I had reached this pinnacle. And then once I stopped that, it was a position I held. And once I stopped that, I felt worthless. I felt like, Who am I now? You know, what's the use? I really went through a long time of depression related to that. And because I just felt like, you know, we wrap our identities in these goals when we put the goal on the pedestal instead of putting ourselves on the pedestal. Because you are, you know, created in God's image. You are more than just flesh and bones. You know, it's, if not to be morbid, but if you've ever been to a funeral of someone that you cared about a lot and you see that person and it's like, I don't know about you, but for me, it's like, that's not them. Like, them is gone, is what it feels like, right? This is just a body. And so often we put so much stock in the physical and, you know, the money, the things, the job, the stuff on the outside of us, and so little emphasis on ourselves. Now, the things on the outside of us are actually more of a reflection of what's going on the inside of us than they are like something that you have to go get and do in order to be. You be, and then those things are. So with that said, I want to bring to you something that I created for myself that I'm sharing with you called Refined February. And it is a little worksheet that I made for myself. And it's kind of with some journaling prompts to help for different areas of your life, but to help you center in on what it is you want to feel in your life. How do you want to feel? And then it's creating habits to support that feeling. So, in the spirit of feeling more joy and ease, I have mind, body, spirit, vibe, attitude, and then a you choose line. So let me just show you what this looks like. There is a little habit tracker, but we're gonna first talk about the first page of the worksheet. And it's how might you refine your life this February? And it starts out with, I would feel great if my mind were what? And the idea here is to answer these in like a minute or less. You know, don't spend hours and hours overthinking this. You will have time to reflect and to, you know, refine the process. That's the whole thing here. Just kind of go with your gut instinct because we're learning to trust ourselves. When we think about this too long, what happens is we're pulling from all these different videos we've watched, books we've read from outside. When you are quick about it, it's usually what's already like bubbling at the surface. So let that spill out and use the reflection time later to sort of refine it based on what actually happens in the month and what you think you could do. Okay. So I would feel great if my mind, in my case, was more calm and aware. My body was less painful and less tired. My spirit, if I had best friend energy to myself and I was a little less harsh on myself. And my you choose. Okay, so it could be your money, your job, your relationship, your house, your environment, you know, whatever you want to work on. Okay. And so for me, it's my channel. If I were more deliberately and actively pursuing creating this work instead of so many other things. So actually it's a little bit more my energy and my focus, but I want to direct it towards really creating. The other part of this is the same. It's same in that we're doing energy type of stuff. Where am I directing my energy and attention, and what kind of approach am I doing in that process? And I would like to practice a no-buy situation. And this is not because I want to become a minimalist, because I I'm not a fan of labels. Okay? Labels, I don't like to use the word religion, but I'm going to use it in this case. When someone says, I am a vegan, I am a whatever political affiliated person, I am a minimalist, I am a maximalist, I am a whateverist. That to me sounds like I've signed up for something, I'm wearing a name tag or a badge, and now I have a certificate on my wall and it says I am this thing, and if I don't follow all of the rules, I'm gonna get kicked out. And it's like, I think that we can appreciate and take aspects of things and then use them in our own unique way, rather than you're either this or you're that, and that's all. And I think that's gotten us into a lot of trouble. I think we need to appreciate other perspectives for sure. And we also have to honor our own unique being and understand where we are stationed in life and where some aspects of this idea, this way, will fit well within that framework, and some of it won't. And that's okay. Okay? It's okay that you're not like fully this, and that you're, you can appreciate parts of it and you are incorporating parts of it into your life without 100% commit. I'm not going to be married to an idea. Okay? It's just an idea. It's just a thought. I digress. I need to stop. So then the next part of this is, what are some habits that I could do to support what I just described, what would feel great in my mind, my body, my spirit, my whatever I choose. So for my mind, I found, and I just wrote his name down, Samurai Matcha. And he was talking about the term, I thought I wrote that down. Oh yes, moving with Tanai. And that's making slow, deliberate movements. I've caught myself, and I really believe that this is something that has contributed to some of my goals feeling very cumbersome rather than energy giving, energy draining. That's the best way to describe it. And I think moving with Tanai is something that I can do. And he describes it, Samurai Matcha describes it like this. This is the best way, I'll just demonstrate. It's like picking up this book and moving like this and opening it with great care. Instead of like my normal, I'm going to be a little more deliberate. And I practiced it yesterday and a little bit this morning already. And I have to say, it's giving me some insight. Now, I'm going to get to something here. I want to move on to my body. For my body, my body digests vegetables, and I run better, I feel like more efficiently on a lot of fruits and vegetables. I admire those who love keto and love paleo and are all of that and whatever. For my own body, because I've tried and tracked for a long time, that seems to work well. I've veered away from it because I've started listening to too much stuff, and I jumped on the protein train for a while, and my protein sources were hurting me. So I'm going to trust my gut, literally, and move into that 80% vegetable land and see how I go. Also, going to bed by 9 is a goal of mine. So these are habits that I would like to try in February and see if I don't feel more ease in my body and joy, more calm and aware in my mind, more best friend energy, which is the next part, my spirit, vibe, and attitude. I wanted to give myself some best friend energy instead of feeling like a nag to myself, which I have not felt in a very long time because of my work with Melissa Catherine Farley. I always have to shout her out in terms of my mindset. One of the exercises that she shared when I went through her program was mirror work, and that is a Louise Hay concept. So if you ever want to look up Louise Hay mirror work, basically you're saying things in a mirror to yourself that are kind. I've caught myself recently because I've started to allow, this sounds so silly, but I'm being honest, I'm being genuine with you. I hope you can relate. I've allowed my hair to go gray. I have not had my hair colored since last May, I think, somewhere around there. And I don't have any kind of like hardcore beliefs about this or any kind of like reason behind it other than this ease. And I think it's ease with myself, and it's like really asking myself to be honest with me about my issues with that or not, you know. And I have to live with this, and I'm curious as to what I'm saying to myself and why I'm saying it. So I'm like, it's almost like this little practice I have of, oh gosh, you know, like some days I'm able to look in the mirror and be like, you know what? I dig it. And other days I'm like, Jen, what? Just go get your hair dyed. My goodness. But I'm walking through that like a real human. And this is how real humans behave, I think. I don't think that people who are Silver Sisters out there who've put that label on themselves, you know, and have said, now I'm this because of this morality issue around the beauty industry or whatever other reason they're doing this. And I don't fault them for that because that is their life. I'm just sharing with you my own experience with this, and it is interesting because if you've spent your whole life coloring your hair and that has been part of your, we'll say, ego for a long time, your method of operandi, and you go into the mirror and you start just allowing it to be what it is and trying to fall in love with it. It's a process. It's a process for me. Maybe I'm weird in that regard, but anyway. So, mirror work it is. I'm going to do mirror work for this purpose of allowing myself to be. Now, if I decide to dye my hair later, am I going to feel like a sinner who should be banned from all humanity? No, I will not. Absolutely not. Because this is, again, me finding my way forward and really sharing with you ways that I've done that primarily through journaling. So, also with my channel. Because I'm not going to be so hard on myself with other things. I want to be able to focus on this, creating videos. I've been hoarding them for too long. So now I need to be doing that. It's been on my heart for too long. It's been inside of my journals for 14 years probably. And yeah, it's time. It's past time. So I want to be putting my energy toward that. I also forgot to say that in my body part of this, having some more energy and moving more, it seems like it doesn't really match with ease. However, my approach to this before has been very centered around calorie expenditure, around efforting, I have a feeling that moving just 30 minutes and telling myself I'm going to move for 30 minutes with the idea of building energy, I think that 30-minute time period is going to unlock some things. Because I don't have rules around how hard I have to work or what has to be done in the 30 minutes. I'm going to move depending on my body that day and give myself that grace. But I will know that I am moving my body, which is important to move emotional energy, to move literally food and things you're trying to digest through your body. It just really does a lot for your psyche. So it's important. That's always been a priority of mine, to move my body, and I will do that. I'm curious to see with this new sort of move however you want for 30 minutes without this deliberate, like, I'm going to do this XYZ thing for XYZ result and be like weight centered or, you know, bicep centered or something, or like new record on the treadmill. No, none of that. I'm just 30 minutes a day. Curious to see what happens. I'm also going to take a picture of myself. I need to write that down. I'm going to take a picture of myself every day because I'm curious to see a little something else, because I've noticed lately in the mirror with some of the stress that I've felt. This is another reason I'm really putting an emphasis on ease. Probably a lot self-imposed, just my way of looking at these situations that are happening. Wondering if I won't see a difference in my face. So I'm curious about it. Again, these are like I said, in the past, they've been challenges. I almost rather call them something like an experiment. This one is Refined February, so we'll see. I'm curious about it. So then I wrote down, what am I saying to myself about these habits? Now, I'll be honest. My mind, I'm curious how slow moving will feel. I think I'm telling myself that it's going to feel annoying. Okay? These are I have to be honest. If you can't be honest with yourself, who can you be honest with? My body. The things I'm saying is I'm tired and hurting. And I have to, the other thing is regarding going to bed by 9 and the movement. Okay. My spirit, or my body, I'm tired and hurting. And so I don't want to move and I don't want to do the things. And then the funny thing is I had to go to bed by 9 and to eat the veggies. One thing I'm saying about going to bed by 9 is I have to stay up to regulate others. And if you're a mom or a wife or have people in your home or whatever else, people outside your home buzzing your phone, yeah, worth being curious about. My spirit, vibe, and attitude. Again, I said that I wanted to be kinder to myself. So, and I was going to use affirmations and mirror work and taking a picture daily as my habits. The things I'm saying about the habits are that affirmations are silly. Because, you know, you see memes about it and you see comedy sketches about people doing that, and they do kind of make them sound silly. However, I've also used them and I know their power. I've used them consistently for like years and have made an enormous difference. And for some reason, I have been a little hit or miss on that within the past few months. And regarding the mirror work and that, the other thing that my mind says in the background is that it doesn't make a difference. Okay? So these are the things that maybe don't line up. All right? Now, the last one about the no buy and the videos. One negative thing I'm saying about it is that feels like suffering. Like, It does. It feels like, I want to buy stuff, but yeah, we'll get to the next part. And then the videos, the thing that I'm saying that doesn't align with me wanting to make videos is no one cares. Okay? So, the next section of this worksheet is what could I say that would better match what I want to see? Because again, you need to be in agreement. You have to be thinking, saying the same thing that you're doing. Something's gonna give. It's like a house divided cannot stand, which I believe is in the Bible. I know it is. It's not, I believe it is. I know it is. If you are like thinking and saying one thing and telling yourself you're going to do this, like building a house, I'm going to build a house, I can't build a house. I'm going to build a house, I can't build a house. You got to choose one. You can't have both of those things going on. So what could I say that would better match what I want to see in each area? For my mind, instead of saying that slow moving is going to feel annoying, I am moving at my own pace and it's perfect. I am moving at my own pace and it's perfect. My body, instead of saying I'm tired and hurting and I have to stay up so that so-and-so feels XYZ, moving feels good and gives me energy. And they can't regulate themselves if they never try. And I'm always doing it for them. So, yeah. I get to let people, I mind my side of the street is something I used to always say, and that is so important. I mind my side of the street. You really cannot do anything about what someone else is thinking or feeling. I'm sorry. And that's not your responsibility, that is theirs. So allowing them to feel, just like you feel moody and crabby and angry and upset, if you need someone else to feel happy and joyful, for you to feel happy and joyful, then you work on feeling happy and joyful. I'm preaching to myself right now. You work on feeling happy and joyful. And they get to feel how they get to feel. But you get to do what you need to do to take care of you. So regarding the money part, when I was saying it feels like suffering and no one cares, okay? Regarding the videos, I am intentional and I direct my money to things that are best matches for my life. And regarding the videos, where would I be without the messages of those who are brave enough to share? And it's my turn to lend a hand. And it's really what I believe, because there have been so many videos, books, teachers that I have gleaned wisdom from over the years that have really helped. Some of the things have really stuck in my life, and I've used them to radically change. When I tell you radically change my life from when I began journaling back in 1997, the hot mess express that I was on, and what I've created in my life today is radically different, and it is largely due to me pursuing better ways through books, through videos, through teachers, and ultimately the answers usually reside somewhere inside of you, but it helps to have people who've walked the path before you kind of at least shine a light on something that could help you. It's up to you whether you pick it up and use it. It's up to you whether it's a match for you in that season. There have been things people have said to me, like back in the 90s, that I thought that's hogwash and I'm not using it. I can't believe I just said hogwash. Anyway, and now it's like, duh, yeah, now I see, now I get why they said that. I understand it completely. So the next move then is to look at your calendar and start putting these habits, my slow moving, my meditation, my 80% vegan, and bed by 9 and moving 30 minutes, starting to schedule this, my mirror work and affirmations. How is this going to fit in my day? And no buy and the 8 videos. I like to have habits that take around 15 minutes or less. Obviously, moving for 30 minutes isn't that, but it is a habit I've developed over the years. So then the next thing that I have on here, which won't be relevant right now in this video, and I'm going to post a link to this. This is a free thing that you can use if you choose, and you can download, print, look at, whatever you want to do with it. There's a weekly reflections for each week. So February 2nd through 8th, I have a weekly reflections. And each week you'll ask yourself, how did the week go? Did you take your action steps that you said? Why or why not? And this is not a judgment piece. This is a curiosity piece. And that's what I love to do. It's like, maybe it's not that you're stupid or lazy or irresponsible or undisciplined or whatever. Maybe it's like, okay, well, if I really look at my week, I didn't plan ahead, or I didn't really look ahead of time, and if I would have done that, I would have known this and that and the other. Or maybe after work isn't the most great time for me to work out, maybe before work, or maybe I could split the 30 minutes in 2. So it's just getting curious and finding your own rhythms and patterns rather than judging yourself and making yourself wrong for not being able to do something. What went well? You have to say what went well, because that's going to encourage you as you go forward. That's going to give you energy to keep going. And that's how some of these habits end up sticking. Like my exercise habit stuck because I was looking at it from the vantage point of not what I didn't do, but what I did do, and go, okay, if I did that, I could do this. And then what have I learned about the process itself? Maybe the process itself, I remember at one point I was doing a lot of exercising, and I found out, because I was tracking and looking at this, I found out that when I lifted weights through using my Fitbit, my heart rate went up and I burned more calories in a half an hour than I did when I was like speed walking. So I was trying to walk 10,000 steps and all this, and I ended up like trying to burn X amount of calories while walking 10,000 steps. And I literally tracked how many songs that was. I mean, when I tell you I tracked. And then one day I was doing weights and I noticed that my calorie expenditure was so high. Now, do I like that approach? I did then. I was like 38, maybe, yeah, about 38. And I've since tried doing similar things. It doesn't fit in my life right now. At that point in time, it was a good lesson for me to learn. It was a good thing for me to see. I do like lifting weights at some junctures in my life. And that's what I'm saying. Like, when you go on social media, a lot of times you'll see, you need to be lifting weights. You need to be eating 150 grams of protein a day. You need to be doing this. You need to be doing that, or it's never going to work. And you never really take the time to figure out for yourself what works. Because who's to define what success is? Okay? Let's say I'm at 15% body fat. I feel like crap. I'm snapping at everybody in my life. Okay, well, good for me. Like, it's a whole life. You have a whole life with relationships, with your attitude and mood, with your mind, with your body, with your spirit. That's why I included all of this on here, because it's not just like, I know that there's the approach to goals, and I get the momentum, and I get the thing where you're like, go all in and like screw everything else just to get it done. And that's great if you're going to build a house and realizing that There are some things that are just going to fall off. There are times when that approach is necessary. But when it comes to caring for your body, you have to be able to function outside of just exercising. You have to be able to. So it's going to take some time to find a pace and a movement, and it might change from time to time too with hormones and everything else, because this is a complicated thing. It's not it worked for them, it didn't work for me because I'm a loser. Just ditch that mindset. So what have I learned about the process? What actions am I proud of so far? That is a big one, because again, that's going to build your momentum. And what have I learned about myself? Maybe what you've learned about yourself is you're a little more disciplined than you thought, or you're a little more capable than you thought, or maybe I have way more energy in the morning, so I'm going to capitalize on that. You know, whatever you're learning about you is what's going to help you create the next month and the next month, because life, honey, is a series of days and weeks and months that add up and add up and add up. So why not be deliberate? Why not choose? Why not take the time to get to know you and get to know about your life and build something that you want to live, rather than defaulting to what everybody else tells you you should do? Okay? And so then after you go through the weekly reflections, there's the weekly design. Again, these take a minute to answer. You don't have to spend an hour, just once a week, sit down, go through this process. What can I adjust next week to feel even better? After you've gone through the reflection, now what? Now how am I gonna make it even better? And then what next 30 to 60 minute steps could I take to make me feel great in each area? And you just look at the areas and go, okay, maybe there is something that I could spend 30 or 60 minutes on. I'll throw up my calendar. Maybe there is. And you'll have an idea, and you'll be slowly improving things. And you didn't have to spend hours and hours and burn yourself out. And then you schedule those next 3 steps and take them. So I have those pages for each week of February. And then at the end of the month, I have monthly reflections. They are what are my 3 best moments and actions and what made them the best. What are the 3 biggest lessons I learned about myself? 3 biggest lessons about the process. What did I find motivates me the most? For me, I did a chart one time, and I found that if I watched videos that were about what I was doing, I was motivated if I watched them in the morning, and I would work out. It was so weird, because it was a corollary that I found after the fact. So I had done all of this for 1 month, and at the end I was like, every day that I worked out, I had watched a motivational video in the morning. Also, throughout my journals, I did find out whatever I was listening to was definitely reflected on the outside. So just food for thought. Whatever you're putting your energy and attention to is what you're going to be seeing on the outside. So why not choose something that matches? What tends to slow me down the most? So you'll have some data here, and you'll be able to see some patterns in yourself, and that will help you keep refining. Keep refining so that life moves easier. And then what could I refine in my schedule, environment, inner dialogue to help March feel even better? And how would I like to adjust the habits I developed this month in March? So just look at your data, because you'll have these little check marks. So I'll write in my habits that I chose, and I'll just check them off when I did them. And I have it for each week. So this top section is for February 2nd through the 8th, February 9th through the 15th, February 16th through the 22nd, and 23rd through the 28th. So I also included in the back an actual calendar. So if you wanted to use it to just kind of map things out, writing appointments that you have, errands that you have to do, habits, rest, fun, computer, tasks, calls so that you can get an idea of what you're doing, because so often we create like this, I'm going to do this and that. I know someone, I'm thinking of someone that I know, that they are like, I'm going to do this and this and this and this and this and this. And they have 9 million things that when I'm hearing them tell me all the things that they're going to do, I'm like, you do realize there's 24 hours in a day and 7 days a week. And a good chunk of those you're working. So very ambitious, because you're sleeping, you're eating, you're getting dressed, you're doing laundry, you're doing things that go on the calendar. So you only have XYZ to do this. And you know, so I say this to be reasonable with yourself. Only you can know what your capacity is, what you're capable of, what you're not, what works for you, what doesn't. But this at least gives you a visual of what you're actually doing, so that you don't say, I'm such a loser because I didn't do the 10,000 things that I told myself I was going to do. And then you get real choosy because you realize, okay, I'm going to choose the best things, the things that will really make my life feel joyful and easy. I hope this helped. Download this. It's in the description. It's free. There's nothing to it. And I'm very curious about what you think, what your intentions are, what you'd like to try, how it goes. Let me know in the comments below. Enjoy today.